Morning, everybody. My name is Godswill Osemeke. I'll be taking you through the Unit 3 module, and the topic is organization and behavior. We'll be looking at the level 4 HNC and HND in business management qualifications. I will run through the slides looking at the learning outcomes and the aim of the unit as well, so that everybody will understand and benefit from what we are about to talk today. I will urge everybody now to look at the slides so that we can crack on. The aim of the unit is to give learners an understanding of individual and group behavior in the workplace. That is what we mean by organizations and behavior. Okay, so you are expected in this course to understand how everyone in an organization behave, interact with one another. What then is the meaning of organization behavior? As we run through this unit, we'll be looking at each component of individual behavior in the workplace. However, a bit of definition is on the board. Organizational behavior means the study of how individuals and groups behave and relate with one another in the workplace. I believe lots of you are working. Some of you interact with your colleagues and how you relate with one another to achieve organizational objectives. That is what we mean by organization and behavior in the workplace. We'll be looking at 4 aspects of the learning outcomes. Every learner, you are expected to cover 4 aspects of the learning outcomes so that you can pass the course. The first learning outcome states that the relationship between organizational structure and culture. We'll be looking at the relationship between how your structure and your culture affect performance. Number 2 learning outcome is to understand the different approaches to management and leadership. The number 3 learning outcome is for you to understand the ways of using motivational theories in the organizations. Some of you who are working, I believe you do receive incentives for good job and good performance. The last learning outcome to be covered by this unit is for you to understand the mechanisms for developing effective teamwork in order to achieve organizational objectives. The section 1 of the learning outcome covers 3 aspects, okay, and we call this the assessment criteria. As a student, to pass this course, you are expected to show knowledge of the assessment criteria. The first one we'll be looking at today is compare and contrast the different organizational structures and culture available in the workplace. Number 2 assessment criteria is to explain how the relationship between structure and culture can affect performance either positively or negatively. The last assessment criteria we'll be looking at here today is to discuss the factors which influence individual behavior at work. Section 2 assessment criteria as well cover 3 major aspects we'll be looking at today. The first one is to compare the effectiveness of different leadership styles in different organizations. In this aspect, I believe you can use your place of work. The second one is to explain how organizational theory underpins the practice of management. And the third one is to evaluate the different approaches to management used by different organizations. We'll be looking at section 3. The first assessment criteria there is for you to discuss the impact that different leadership styles may have on motivation in organizations in a period of change. The second one there is to compare the application of different motivational theories within your place of work. And the third assessment criteria in section 3 is to evaluate the usefulness or the importance of motivational theories. Section 4, which is the last session for this unit 3, the first assessment criteria there is to explain the nature of group behavior within the organization. Second one is to discuss the factors that may promote or inhibit the development of effective teamwork. And the last and not the least is to evaluate the impact of technology on team functioning within a given organization. We will start by looking at the definition of organizational structure. Okay, structure is defined as the level of authority and hierarchy that link how employees communicate, perform their assigned task, as well as knowing their responsibility and right in order to achieve organizational objectives. The big question then is, why do we have a structure? The simple answer to that is it enables you to understand your clear responsibilities and tasks. Okay? What about your own organizational structure? As we are looking at this course, you should start thinking about the kind of structure that exists in your place of work. The next slide, we'll be looking at the types of structure available in an organization. For the purpose of Unit 3 in this program, we'll be looking at 4 main types of organizational structure. The first one we'll be looking at is the tall structure, the flat structure, the product or the brand structure, and the geographical structure. The next slide of this course, we'll be looking at the definitions of each type of structure. Look at the tall structure or hierarchical structure as it is called. It is very easy to understand individual responsibilities in the tall structure. The structure rank employees at different levels, each one above another. At each level, except the bottom, one person has a team of people reporting to them. What we mean by the tall structure simply means you are ranked according to your level of responsibility or authority. The owner or the director, who is responsible for the overall strategic direction of the organization, is at the top of the structure, followed by the managers, the supervisors, and the operative or support staff that carry out basic functions in the organization. The next slide will be looking at the advantages and the disadvantages of the tall structure. First, the advantages: the tall organizational structure allow for good coordination and monitoring of activities. The reason is because everyone understands their area of responsibilities. That removes confusion and disagreement. The second advantage is clear channel of communication. And the third one is your job roles are clearly established and stated, thereby encourages opportunities for individuals or staff to grow in that organization. We look at the disadvantages of the tall organizational structure. we have long channels of communication. If I may go back to the slide, the first slide, you look at here. Okay, it is very, very difficult for the operative or the support staff to pass or communicate along the channel to the owners of the organization. Therefore, it slows down what? Decision-making process. The operatives and support staff may feel less significant if you are operating what we call the tall organizational structure. We'll be looking at the flat structure. The flat structure have only a few levels of managers and therefore emphasizes more on decentralized approach to management, which encourages high employee involvement in business decisions, teamwork, and communication. If you want to achieve success in an organization, I will rather recommend the flat structure because everybody is involved in decision-making process and the channel of communication is very efficient. A very good or classic example of organization that uses the flat structure is the Unilever. Okay, for example, frozen foods department or division and personal care are split into small divisions for quick decision making. Look at how important it is for communication to flow. The CEO, who is the owner of the business, can easily communicate with the research and development division, vice versa. The finance and accounting division can easily communicate with the CEO and with each division to iron out the problems and look for solutions to difficult situations. Look at the advantages. Shorter channel of communication, faster decision making. It aids more responsibility for managers and others, as well as increasing what? Motivation. It is cost effective. Disadvantages: less control and coordination. Wider areas of responsibility may lead to inefficiency. Fewer opportunities for promotion, leading to lower morale among staffs. We'll look at the product or brand structure. Okay, a very good example of companies using the product or brand structure is the HP that manufactures computers. Okay, the company is structured along their product situations. For example, they have the HP services. They have the HP financial services, which is a different product. They have the HP personal system group, which is a different product. We can look at the advantages and the disadvantages of the product or the brand structure. The advantage is clear focus on market. Everyone understands how to achieve or gain market segmentation or market share. Positive competition between divisions. Better control, as each division can act as a separate profit center, which is very, very good. Everyone can achieve their own target. However, look at the disadvantages. Duplication of functions, differences force for each division, negative effect of competition, lack of central control over each separate divisions. The geographical structure. Again, we would like to use the HP as a very good example of organizations that operate the geographical structure. Look at their company in the US. They got companies in India, in Pakistan. They have another companies all over Europe, the Middle East, Asia and Asia Pacific, Hong Kong, for example. So each person or manager in a different geographical location are responsible or is responsible for the smooth running of the company. Let's look at the advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is serve local needs better. Okay, products are customized based on the needs or demand of the local community. Number two, positive competition among each geographical locations. More effective communication between firm and local customers. However, we do have few disadvantages. Conflict between local and central management can arise in terms of goals and aims. Duplication of resources and function in terms of different sales, marketing, and account staff responsible for each geographical locations. I believe you all understand what we mean by organizational structure. The next aspect of this unit, we'll be looking at what is culture and how culture influences performance. From our definition, we said culture is defined as the collective self-image and style of the organization. Its shared values and beliefs, norms and symbols. Examples include customer orientation. Is your organization customer friendly? That is the question we should be asking as business and management people. Belief in quality, trust, accountability, freedom to make decisions, reward, freedom to make mistakes, innovation and creativity. They are all part of how we behave in an organization, and that is what we mean by organizational culture. We have different aspects of culture. You look at the visible artifacts and symbols. The layout of the office simply tells me this organization is quality orientation or not. The colors, the logo, the dress rules. For example, in McDonald's, staffs are allowed to put on uniforms, whereas in other organizations, the uniforms are less important. The degree of informalities between managers and subordinates, rules, norms, ethical codes, timekeeping is a very good organizational structure. Value customers, going green, staff training and respect for all. Ceremonies and birthday is all part of how we celebrate our organizational culture. A very good example is Tesco. If you take a look at Tesco all over the world, this is their organization culture. They respect every staff and customers. They are always there to help customers. Okay? Staff are well promoted or incentivized to perform. Okay? Their products are cheap, good quality, and customers' complaints are properly handled. That is Tesco culture. Looking at this slide, it is possible for you to, at this point, look at your own organizational culture and make a note of the good and the bad. We move on by looking at the type of culture. We have the power culture, the role culture, the task culture, and the person culture. Okay? In different businesses or organizations, it is possible to find one or two of this type of culture in place in that organization. If you look at the power culture, important decisions are made by the top managers. Therefore, the lower ranking officers or staff are given less room to make contribution to the success of the organization. However, one of the advantages is that decision making is very fast. Then you look at the role culture. This is a culture that clearly emphasizes on roles and responsibility. The role culture encourages stability and less risk taking. Every employees are aware of their roles and responsibility. If you look at a task culture, culture that emphasizes on solving tasks and meeting deadlines. People in the sales environment operate the task culture. The main emphasis is to get work done as at a given date or deadline. The fourth part of the types of culture we'll be looking at today is the person culture. This culture focuses on how we value individuals' skill. If you're an IT person, you are given the flexibility to operate on your own area of professionalism. Examples include accountant, lecturers, architect, and lawyer. The organization depend on their skills to succeed and achieve aims and objectives. We look at the factors that affect organization or individual behavior in the workplace. The extroversion is one of the factors. The agreeableness, conscientiousness, and emotional stability. Extroversion, the degree to which someone is outgoing, sociable, friendly, excitement seeking, and cheerful. Okay, there are individuals who are very extrovert. They love teamwork. They love to make friends in the organization. Whereas the introvert are withdrawn type of people. How do you manage employees who are introvert? That question is left for you to determine. Agreeableness, the degree to which someone is good-natured, cooperative, morality, sympathy, and trusting. Some staff are highly sympathetic to others or to the cause of the organization. They cooperate with each decision made without antagonizing any decisions agreed by the team. The third one is the conscientiousness, the degree to which someone is responsible, organized, thorough, sense of duty, resourceful, cautious, orderliness, self-disciplined, careful, and dependable. That makes you a well-organized person. How can you manage people who are well organized? On the other hand, people who are disorganized but can perform the task, we can manage them as well. The last factors that influence culture or behavior at work is emotional stability. The degree to which someone is relaxed, secure, and unworried. Others are unstable, they are very anxious, always angry or depressed, and they are very vulnerable to difficult situations. Looking at the factors that influence culture, the big question therefore is, how can you manage employees with different type of cultural, hereditary, or behavioral traits? The last one is the openness, the degree to which someone is curious, liberal, imaginative, intelligent, and open to change. We'll be moving now to learning outcome 2. And I believe in learning outcome 1, everybody in the class, you've been able to understand what we mean by organizational structure and organizational culture and how they affect business performance. The bottom line or the conclusion of learning outcome 1 is, how can you manage people with different culture, structure, working in your place of work? Therefore, learning outcome 2 is for you or all my learners to understand the different approaches to management and leadership. the different approaches to management and leadership. We'll be looking at the 3 learning assessment criteria under that learning outcome 2. Now, the big question is, what is management? What is leadership? In your task, you are expected to differentiate between the two and give examples. Management. From our definition, management is getting work done through others to accomplish aims and objectives of an organization. A good example of